So today we are going to discuss a topic that is very important. It is related to urinary bladder. The main topic is basically neurogenic bladder, but for that I want you to have a recap of how the autonomic and the system works. So basically you can see this is a urinary bladder. The muscle is the detrusor muscle that I have highlighted in red color. Then you have internal and external urethra sphincters, and this with the lining I have showed the pelvic floor. So we have three types of receptors mainly. There are beta receptors over the detrusor muscle, there are muscarinic receptors, and here at the urethra we have alpha receptors. So uh, what happens basically is that there are two conditions, whether it's empty bladder or it is full bladder. When we have empty bladder, it's actually filling, and sympathetic input is always active during bladder filling. So what happens is on the other side, it's important to tell that there are several structures that are important to be discussed before telling the mechanism. So we have the sacral spine, we have the thoracic spine, and pons, where we have the micturition center, pons micturition center, and pons storage center. And we also have the brain, which is the cortex, and it's the main control of this whole mechanism. So what happens is that when we there is empty bladder, and there is bladder filling, and there are nerves that go to the sacral spine, and from there they move to the thoracic spine. From these thoracic level, that is basically T11 or T12 to L2, and sacral level important, that is important, is S2 to S4. So from thoracic spine they move into our ganglia, and from there they reach the beta receptors, and there is a release of norepinephrine that relaxes the detrusor muscles. So some of the fibers go up, and they reach the cortex, and from there it goes to the storage center that says, okay, there's no need to micturate right now because the bladder is filling, it has not reached the maximum limit, so there is no micturition at that time. The fibers also come down, and from the storage center to the sacral spine, and they go to the muscarinic receptors also, and they also cause them not to contract, and uh, the fibers also keep the sphincters closed. So I'm not going into detail because the main topic in this neurogenic bladder is just to explain the process. And when we have full bladder, so the limit is crossed, and the bladder needs to just evacuate the fluid, the urine. So what happens next is the same mechanism happens, almost same, but the main thing is that these fibers, instead of going through the lumbar region to the beta fibers, they directly go to the pons and to the cortex, and here there is a pons micturition center that is under control of cortex, and it asks, or it commands that the fibers that go down should reach the muscarinic receptors, and then they should cause the bladder to contract. So basically the cortex role is inhibitory role. That cortex PMC is under inhibition of cortex.